everybody, I'm Haleigh Washington of the USA Women's Olympic Volleyball team, and you're listening to a Paris Olympics episode of the Viral Volley Podcast. Here's your host, Rob on the mic. Ciao tutti, io sono Haleigh Washington dalla squadra nazionale di USA Olimpiadi e siete ascoltando a Paris Olympics episode of the Viral Volley Podcast. Adesso è tuo capo, Rob on the mic.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Viral Volley Podcast. And normally I've been doing college volleyball weekly, but I'm doing a crossover episode because we've got a former college all-star on screen. The Olympics are coming up, so we're going to make the person on screen, that's Haleigh Washington of the USA Women's National Team and of Penn State, as well as a professional overseas in Italy, on the episode. So, Haleigh, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks. I'm stoked to be here. Always great getting to chat with you.
Oh, I've got to share the story of how I met you, though, because that's what made me realize that you've got to be one of the funnest people I've ever come across. It was the collegiate national team or all-star team. Karch had you and a few other Penn State girls. I believe it was Micah Hancock.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was there? That would have been
Allie Franny was there.
That's right, Allie Franti. And there's one more I feel like that I'm libero.
Oh, a libero.
Was it I just remember there are four of you at the training, and you guys are going against each other there. But Allie Franti, you
Kendall White. It was
Kendall White. There we go.
It was Kendall White. Yeah.
So 4 Penn State Nittany Lions on the teams, and they were all mixed because you guys are basically just practicing, but phenomenal talent coming from Penn State, formerly coached by Russ Rose, who retired in 2019. Is that correct? Man, trying to go off the top of my head.
No way, it's been that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, you're a dinosaur now.
I'm old, man. I'm old. Don't remind me.
Well, I wanted to start off with the most obvious questions is your beginnings in volleyball. How did you get started? And how old were you and all that? Just for our younger listeners, I think they love to hear when some of our national team players started playing.
Yeah, I actually started at a pretty older age for volleyball. I think you see a lot of volleyball players, they start playing when they're 6 years old, 8 years old. They start really young. But I really didn't start playing volleyball until I was about 12. So I started with our middle school team. I originally played because my dad wouldn't let me play football. I wanted to be a football player so bad. I loved being kind of the rough and tough, tomboy kind of girl growing up. I loved being faster than the boys, loved being stronger than the boys. And so I wanted to go out for football so I could then tackle and run into boys. I was like, that sounds like so much fun. The problem was by 6th grade, I was as tall as I am now. I was 6'3", 6'4" by 6th grade, and only 80 pounds wet. So my dad was like, you can't play football. You'll be snapped in half. I don't care how strong you think you are, you can't play football. So my dad pretty much nixed football. And I still wanted to play sports. I was still really into being an athlete. And so I ended up going out for a volleyball tryout. One of my friends was just like, hey, we're going to go try out for the volleyball team. Do you want to come? And I was like, I guess. So I went to the volleyball tryout and just immediately fell in love with the game. I loved serving. I thought it was so fun that I could stand on the serving line and just serve it out to the back wall. I loved that. It wasn't until my coach was like, hey, you have to serve it in the lines, that I was like, oh, I see how this is a game now. And then I just fell in love with the sport. It was great.
You packed such a punch, you're serving it outside the gym, right?
I was just serving it to the back wall. I thought it was so cool. I was like, I'm so strong. I'm so good at serving.
Well, so that leads me to ask you, your journey from playing junior high school, and club, and making it to a program like Penn State, a national powerhouse. How did that all come about?
Yeah. First of all, I was really blessed with a lot of great people in my life, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great club directors that just kind of helped guide my path. So I think it's nothing that I did on my own. Obviously my parents sacrificed so much, my siblings sacrificed so much, and coaches just always helped kind of guide my path. So when I was 12, I was having an existential crisis, like all 12-year-olds do. And I was like, I need to go to college. I was like, if I'm going to go to college, I need to pay for it. I need to go on a scholarship. So I made a list of everything that I thought that I was good at. I was like school, academics, playing the trombone. I was a trombone player at the time. Track, basketball, volleyball, theater. Like I made a list
Wow.
of everything that I love to do and everything that I thought I could get a scholarship for. And I was like, okay, I just got to narrow it down to one, and then I can focus all my attention on that one thing. So it was the middle of volleyball season and I was just really loving it. So I ended up picking volleyball, and I turned to my dad and I was like, Dad, where is the best volleyball school in the state, in the country? Like, where's the best volleyball school? And at the time, Penn State was coming off of their, I think, third national championship. They were on that
Mhm.
4-year run where they were just winning back to back to back. So my dad was like, "Well, Penn State's having a pretty good run right now, and so they're pretty good." And I was like, "Okay, Penn State it is." And it's so funny. My dad could have said anything. He could have been like, UC Irvine's doing pretty good," and I would have just blindly trusted him. Like I knew my dad had the answers. So I set my sights on Penn State. I figured I'd shoot for the best of the best. And even if I came up short, I'd still be in a really good top tier. And then it was just kind of pouring everything into it. It was summer camps every single summer. I was doing 3 or 4 or 5
Mhm.
volleyball summer camps, playing competitive club volleyball. I made the switch to a club in Colorado Springs while we were living up in Idaho Springs. So 2-hour commute there,
Wow.
2-hour commute back, but just playing really competitive volleyball starting when I was 15. And then again, just pouring everything into it every day. I was always at volleyball tournaments. I was always at volleyball games, volleyball practice. I was still a 3-sport athlete, so I did volleyball, basketball, track, and I would
Wow.
go from my high school practices down to Colorado Springs and do my club practices. So it was just a lot of pouring myself into the sport.
That's a huge sacrifice by your family, that's for sure, because it's not like you were
For
driving.
sure. Yeah. 4 hours round trip, like 3-4 times a week. And that's just for practice, let alone when we're driving to Greeley or Fort Collins for a volleyball tournament. It was gnarly.
Well, I mean, so who, like, I'm sure a few coaches were checking you out, or was it just Penn State? And if it's just Penn State, who made the initial contact?
Yeah, so I got contact from a lot of coaches. I think it's so different now. The world of like recruiting and reaching out to athletes is so different with NCAA rules and stuff. But at the time, you could get questionnaires from coaches at whatever age. I
Mhm.
think. I don't know. I don't want to get any schools in trouble, but I was inundated with lots of questionnaires. So I had loads of colleges that were reaching out. But it was funny, the reason that I ended up getting in contact with Penn State was the club that I went to, Colorado
Mhm.
Juniors Volleyball Club. They came to one of our high school tournaments when I was a sophomore in high
Mhm.
school, and they were trying to get me to come down and play at their club. And I had talked to their coaching staff before, but I was like, I can't make it to Colorado Springs. Like, it's a 2-hour drive. It's really, really far from my family. We have a tough time getting off the
Mhm.
mountain. And Bill and Judy were there, and I had mentioned like, "Oh, I would love to come play for your club. Like, I really want to go to Penn State University, but I just don't know if we can make that sacrifice." And Bill Peer actually pulled out Russ Rose's number, and he was like, "We can call Russ right now and tell him that you want to go to Penn State. We can get you, and that we." He's like, "I guarantee you, we can get you a scholarship to Penn State if you come to our club." And
Wow.
so I think Bill actually, like our club director, had reached out to him and had made the first contact with Penn State and kind of put me on their radar. And I went to one of their Juniata camps. If any
Mhm.
Penn Staters are listening, they know what the Juniata camp is and what that life is like. I just went as a little player, and when you would go to Juniata camp after camp all day, the college girls would play and have like a little mini scrimmage at night. And if
Mhm.
you were like one of the recruits, you would get to play with the college girls. And I remember it was so cool getting to play with these college athletes. And so went to this Juniata camp, got some more exposure, and then by my I think like 16th year of club, Russ had
Mhm.
offered me the scholarship.
Wow. Well, isn't Juniata also the wife of Mark Pavlik on the men's side, the coach over there?
Oh, I don't even know. I know that Pat would be there. I know we'd see Pat there every once in a while. So I
I
don't know. I don't know.
well, I know I've had a few interviews with Pav, and he always has this hardware cabinet behind him as his backdrop. He's like,
Mhm.
Rob, none of those are mine. Only one of those are mine.
I mean, Pav's got a heck of a career, though. Don't let him take himself down like that. Pav's the man. I love Pav.
Oh, he's the most highly loved man in volleyball, I think. I'm pretty
Definitely.
sure.
He is the best. Him and his son. Oh, just my favorite.
Well, so you've gone through juniors, high school, collegiate, you got the natties and had some great teammates alongside you. But at what point in your career did you want to become a professional volleyball player and then have Olympics in your sights?
Yeah. It's really funny that you ask that. I never really thought I would play pro volleyball or be on the USA team. I remember my senior year, people asking me like, "Oh, are you gonna try to go out for USA? Like, when are we gonna see you in the Stars and Stripes?" And I was like, I don't think I'm good enough to play USA. I was like, I'm not the best blocker. Like, I still kind of struggle to attack in front. Like, I don't think USA is gonna be for me, but that's okay. And originally, I wanted to just graduate and go to grad school. I really wanted to
Mhm.
study library sciences. I really wanted to become a librarian, work in the Library of Congress. Like, that was the dream. I really wanted to just go the full academics route. But one of my coaches was like, Haleigh, you should give pro volleyball a try. You should try it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Best of both worlds. I will go play pro volleyball for like 1 or 2 years, save up a bunch of money, and then go back to grad school. And Russ actually brought me into his office one day, or I think I was just stopping by. It was super casual, but Russ was like, Haleigh, if you're gonna go play pro, it isn't something you half-ass. He's like, it's not something that you just go and do for a year or two. He's like,
Yeah.
you need to buy into the long haul of the career. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Russ. In the in the moment, not thinking anything of it. But once I started this pro career, I was like, oh, I see. Because I started on like a really low level pro team. Like I started A2 in Italy, like not even in the
Really?
Premier League, like in the second league. And I was like, I needed to work my way up. I needed to get into A1 and then from A1 go from a low level team to a playoff level team and then go from a playoff level team to a championship level team. And so it was this process that I had to commit years of my life to. And so I started this pro career, and then Karch Karai called me after my first season in Ravenna, and I was like, I'm gonna say yes. Like I'm just gonna see
Uh-huh.
where this can go. And I came into the USA gym again with zero expectations of ever making rosters, understanding that I still had so much room to grow and improve and get better. And so I really didn't even have my sights set on the Tokyo Olympics. I was like, I just want to keep growing and getting better as a
Right.
player. And once the Tokyo Olympics kind of came around, I was blessed with the opportunity to be on the roster. And it wasn't until like a year before Tokyo that I even set my sights on Paris. So it's just kind of been this ever evolving, going with the flow career path.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I believe I met you when you were only a sophomore in that college national team or college
Mhm.
all-star setup. And funny story, another funny story involving you, of course. You know, I'm working the event and I'm like, Coach, I need music. He's like, I'm gonna give you this girl's number. She's our DJ. It was your number.
Yeah, I was always blasting the tunes. Maybe they weren't the most appropriate, but I tried to keep it clean. I tried to keep the clean songs.
Family friendly.
Family friendly, exactly. Family friendly.
So you've played for some great coaches already in your career. I mean, obviously Russ Rose and current women's national team head coach Karch Karai, just to name a few. But you obviously have international coaches. But how have these coaches helped in your development mentally, physically, and socially?
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously Russ just turned me not only into the player that I am today, but the person that I am today. Russ has an uncanny ability to do that. Like he turns his athletes just into really great people. Overseas, I have been so lucky with my coaches. I think it's so hit or miss with coaching overseas. Like it's sometimes really hard to find very good coaches. And so for about 3 years of my overseas career, I worked with the same coach, Stefano Lavarini, and he is incredible. I think he's just a phenomenal coach. He sees the game so well. He knows the game very well. And he just is really good at giving feedback. He's not really the coach to kind of like baby you and hold your hand, but he's the kind of coach that just tells you quick and easy what you need to upgrade, how to fix it, and then you do it. So I really admired that about him. He really helped me kind of grow as a player and grow and see the game more. And then the past 2 years that I've been playing pro, Massimo Barbolini has also been another coach that I've worked with.
Mhm.
And he's an outstanding coach for where I'm at in my career path. Like he works so incredibly well with veteran players. He gives a lot of trust. He gives a lot of faith to you. So you don't really
Mhm.
feel like you're being micromanaged. You don't feel like you're being nitpicked at. He's just like, this is what I expect out of you. This is what I need out of you. Go do it. And I
Yeah.
really love that. So I've been really lucky with a lot of my overseas coaches just as I've played in this professional career.
Wasn't Lavarini was also a coach of Turkey and turned them around pretty quickly. If it's is that right?
I think Lavarini at Poland.
Poland. That's what.
Yeah, the head coach for Corneliano Santorelli is at Turkey, and yes, he's also helped Turkey really grow. Like I've never had the opportunity to play for him. He's just been the coach at Corneliano. I've never played there, but I've heard again outstanding things about him. Like he's a really great coach. He's really good at formatting practices to improve the team as a unit. So there's some really great coaches out there, and if you get the opportunity to play with them, it really is such a blessing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I mean, especially being able to be exposed to the international game like I have been just because of following USA, you see that there's some phenomenal coaches internationally and
Yeah,
athletes, of course, but those athletes get better because of the volley IQ of these coaches knowing what they've got.
definitely, definitely. I hope as the game continues to grow, especially with these American leagues that are starting up, I hope we start to see even more female coaches too. I think
Mhm.
we need more women coaches out there that are just badass and are taking names and are working really hard. I thought Real Pro Volleyball, I thought they had a lot of great, very strong female coaches, and I can't wait to see that continue on.
Yep. Well, we're going to definitely talk about the American Pro Leagues and your involvement, but I wanted to go to the 2020 or 2021 Tokyo Olympics because obviously a lot happened. In fact, my first interview with you was when you were abroad during COVID, if I
Oh
remember correctly.
yeah, I think
So,
so.
and having to deal with that, with everything going on in the world, with
Yeah.
well, the United States was locked down, and I mean the world was still trying to figure out what it was going to look like and how we're going to handle this pandemic. But I mean, you were in the thick of a pretty heavy hit area, I believe, in Italy. Is that right?
Yeah, so we were in Lombardia, which is right where the first case of COVID was ever found in Italy, actually. It was so funny. We got back from Kazan, Russia, and we were getting on the bus, and one of the Italian girls on my team was like, "Whoa, they found the first ever case of COVID. The first COVID infected person has been found in Lombardia." And we were like, that was like the region where we were at in Novara. And so we were like, "Whoa, what does this mean? What's going to happen?" And so
Mhm.
we go to sleep. We wake up the next day. Now it's 100 people have been infected, and then we're
Wow.
at practice. We go through practice, and we're done with practice, and 300 people have now been infected. And by the end of the week, we had a game against Casalmaggiore, and by the end of the week, our game was canceled. The league was shut down. They were just going to put a pause on everything for 2 weeks and like kind of let everything clear out, and it just never started back up. It was very intense.
I can only imagine being abroad as an athlete trying to figure out what your next steps are going to be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was really nerve-wracking because we are just kind of waiting around to see if we're gonna get the green light. Is the league gonna start back up again? How's this gonna look? And then also you're hearing all this about airports shutting down. And so I'm worried that I'm gonna be, I mean, there are worse places to have to quarantine. Italy is pretty fire. But I was like, I'm worried I'm gonna end up stuck in Italy and I'm not gonna be able to get back home to my family. Like we're in
Mhm.
this crazy state of the world. Like I hope that I'll be able to get home. And I was really fortunate. My club was very cool once they heard that the league probably wasn't starting back up. My club was very quick to be like, you got to go home. And they were very understanding, which I really appreciated. A lot of other clubs were a little more strict, were a little bit more
Mhm.
apathetic about helping people get home. So I was really blessed. Busto Arsizio, that was the club I played for. They were awesome.
Wow. Well, now we're looking at the 2020, 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Always throws me off, but we got to go with what it's called.
Yeah.
But you were part of a team that struck gold. Um, it was that iconic moment of Karch on his knees with both arms extended high, with the entire team around him celebrating that moment. But can you describe what it was like to get that win and resultantly USA Volleyball's first ever gold medal?
Yeah. That was that was a moment that will forever live in my head. The game point, match point of the gold medal match just lives so clearly in my head because I had rotated off. So it was Faluka in the front row, Gov was in the front row. I think it was Poulter in the front row. I think it was row six. I just rotated off. It was match point. We get the serve. I'm watching. I'm completely silent. So I'm like a really high energy, really high intensity player. If you ever watch me play, Rob, you know this. I'm very
Yes.
loud. I'm very like energetic.
Can't
Even
tell
the
from our video interview either.
yeah. Even in the box, I'm the one that's always dancing. I'm always moving around.
Yep.
But it was match point. And so I just get this level of calm. And every championship that I've ever played in, there's a point when you're about to win where that's how I get is I'm locked in. I'm like the game's not over until it's over. So we could be 23-18. Like we were in our state championship when I was in high school and it was 23-18. And I was like the game's not over until it's over. So I just
Yeah.
get really calm and quiet and locked in until the game is over. So it's match point. I'm quiet. I'm in the box. I'm just watching. The ball is served. I see Poulter going up to set it, and I'm like, Poulter's such a poet. I know for a fact she's gonna set Gov because that's the storybook ending we need, is setting Gov, who has like worked so hard for this gold medal. And she does. She sets Jordan Larson. Gov goes up, crushes it. We win the point. And I just remember the first feeling that washes over me is just this sense of like relief, of like all the work that we had put in, getting through the pandemic, Zoom calls, team bonding, all of the workouts at home, workouts in the snow, like everything that we had done had been worth it. And this just wave of relief came over me. And then it was just a release, a flood of emotions, of just absolute joy, pure mania. I was ecstatic. I was sobbing. If anybody's seen the NBC clip of me ugly crying on TV, it was very gross. But whatever. The men's French team won, and their players were ugly crying on TV. I was like, if the French boys can cry, I'm gonna cry. So I sobbed my eyes out, and I was just so overjoyed, not just for like myself, but for the girls who had been in the USA gym, who had like gone to Rio and had really wanted to win that gold medal and ended up getting bronze, or who had been in Beijing and ended up getting silver. Like they had fought for, or London, excuse me, they had fought so long and so hard for a gold medal, that to be a part of that group was just such a blessing. And I was just so honored.
Well, you kind of answered my next question for you, so I'm gonna have to go on the flyer. That's
sorry,
totally
sorry.
fine. That's all. That's okay. I mean, it's all in the moment, and I mean, I want you to describe what it was like to be part of that team personally, but you've actually added that. I had no idea. You know, actually, I do recall seeing the ugly cry interview on TV.
Yeah, I was ugly crying, and I have the worst line, I think, in interview history, when the NBC interviewer was like, so how does it feel being an Olympic gold medalist? And I was like, it's a lot more wet than I anticipated, because I was covered in sweat. I was sobbing my eyes out. Girls had been sweating all over me as we were hugging. And so I made this joke about being a lot more wet than I anticipated. And I was like, you can't say that on national television, Haleigh. What are we doing here? I was so mad, but it was still just an iconic moment. It was so funny. And it was a great group of girls to be part of.
If it makes you feel better, there are worse things that can be said. I'm just glad you just didn't.
Oh, great, great.
That
okay, I'm glad. I'm good to know that I'm not quite up there with the worst interviews in the world. Wonderful.
Well, after that Olympics, you know, the world has opened back up, but what has your career seen in the last 3 years then?
Yeah, so my career, so after the Olympics, I went back to Novara, the team that I had played for before the Olympics, for my second year. And I'm full transparency, complete vulnerability. After the Olympics was hard. This whole quad has been so hard, because everybody talks about the grind of winning a gold medal, of the work that it takes to get on the podium, but nobody really talks about the come down after the Olympics, of like, do this incredible thing, this incredible success, this great high, and then what's next? And that was the question that I was asking myself, was like, what's next? Now what? Like, I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I got best middle blocker in the world. What does that mean for me? What more do I need to do? And like, I look back on the naivety that I held, thinking that that was it, that I had completed mastery, and that's not at all how pursuing mastery works. Like, it's an ever evolving journey. You can always continue to be better. You can always continue to grow. And I just wish someone had told that to me after the Olympics. I wish someone had been like, hey, great job. Take your time, celebrate, recover, rest, heal yourself, heal your mind, heal your body, because you now have this beautiful opportunity to become even better than you were at this Olympics. And that just wasn't the mindset that I was in. We were rushed after the Olympics. I had to go back out to my pro team within a month. So I had 1 month to celebrate with my family, get home, get all settled in, get packed for Italy, and then get out to Italy. And like, your pro team's like, oh, 30 days is so much time, but it just really wasn't. So I started the pro season just completely burnt out, so exhausted, very little motivation, very little drive, just because of that burnout. Like, I had been so locked in at the Olympics, to have to go back to that mentality was really hard for me. So really experienced a lot of burnout that first year after the Olympics. And then the following summer, which would have been last summer, quick quad, following summer would have been last summer, I just suffered a really severe knee injury. So I was really struggling with like pain. And sometimes when you hurt yourself, your quad will just completely shut off. So then I couldn't jump. My quad wasn't firing. So I just couldn't play good volleyball. I didn't feel like myself. Being injured also doesn't help with your mental health. So just past few years have been just this uphill battle of trying to feel like myself, of trying to find joy in the game again, of trying to remind myself why I do what I do. And it has been an incredible challenge. But we've
Hmm.
come out on the other side. We've kept
Right.
pushing. I'm back to feeling like myself. And that came from a ton of hard work, a ton of meditation, of talking to our sports psychologist, of
Hmm.
lots of just taking care of myself mentally and physically, figuring out plans to protect myself. So it was a lot of hard work. And really, my dad was such a good motivator because he reminded me that Paris was the original goal. So I can't give up. I can't
Really?
quit. Even if, yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't have Tokyo on the target, but you're aiming for Paris and got Tokyo. Now Paris thrown in.
Exactly. So the original plan when I started playing USA and I was like, oh, I could do this. In 2019, when I made that first VNL roster, I was like, oh, I should set my sights for some rosters. And I
Yeah.
never thought in a million years I could do Tokyo. Like I was like, I'm too young. 2020 is next year. Like I'm not gonna be ready in time. But
Yeah.
the pandemic happened and it got pushed back to 2021. And I think that kind of gave me a little more time to develop as a player. But
Hmm.
originally, the goal again had just been Paris. And my dad reminded me that many a time over the course of these 2 years where I was just really, 2, 3 years where I was just really struggling to find myself. And he was like, Paris was the original goal. Paris was the original
Yeah.
goal. Like, don't give up on yourself. Keep pushing. Keep going for what you set your sights for. And it was a good reminder. And it just helped me to get to here, to get to being on this Olympic roster.
That's an incredible journey right there in itself. And there's still more to talk about.
There's still more to talk about. I'm telling you, man, the journey's never over. The pursuit of mastery is ever evolving. It's crazy.
Well, let's jump forward to what the recently finished VNL 2024. I know we spoke beforehand and wasn't the result that you wanted. USA finished 7-6, finishing the preliminary rounds of the 0-3 loss to Italy. Sorry, I have to open that,
It's
wound
okay.
again.
Don't worry about it.
But what are yours and the team's takeaways from that performance in VNL 2024?
I think my takeaways are different than the team's takeaways. The team's takeaways are obviously like we want to be better. We can be better. We're hungry. We identified areas that we want to improve in. We identified ways that we want to improve, and we're really just nose to the grindstone right now. Like we are working our little tookuses off to get better every day, and I think it's really cool because I think it's working. It's
Mhm.
still there's still those moments where it's a little ugly, where we're still like, okay, we're ironing these kinks out, but then we take one step in the right direction. And it doesn't
Mhm.
look like much change, but then you compound that day after day of one step in the right direction, and you'll be surprised where you can end up. So I think the team is just locked in and focused. My thoughts after the VNL finish were I was just so excited. I was like, I I don't know how much I should say this, but I want people to count us out. Like I think after that finish, people are like, "Oh, Italy beat USA 3-0 and they lost to Poland, they lost to Turkey, and we lost to a lot of big teams and a lot of big names." But one, the world is good. The world is good at
I've got to ask
volleyball.
this question though, because it's intertwined with it before
Yeah.
you continue on. I know you're going to go there, but I want to ask this question just so you can formally address the thoughts that are going around out there. So,
Hmm.
what do you, Haleigh Washington, say to those who are concerned with the USA's VNL performance carrying into the Olympics?
Two things. First thing, you come out here and do it. If you are so concerned about what's going on with you, you come over here. If you got all the answers and you know what's up and you're worrying about it, come over. We would love to have you here. Please come run your mouth in here. That's the first response. And then my second response is please count us out. Because what you don't see is how hard we're working and how dedicated we are and how much we want this and how it's really not about the finish. This might be apart from the team. This might be just a solo Haleigh thought, but it's really not about how we finish. If you can play clean volleyball, if you can be dedicated to clean, good volleyball at a consistent rate, you'd be surprised the results that come from that. So it's not about we want to win gold, we have to win gold. It's about we want to play good, consistent volleyball for a longer
Mhm.
amount of time than anybody in the world. And that's what we're focused on. It's not about the wins and losses because if you focus on the good volleyball, everything else comes naturally. So I think those are the two things I would say. You can come over here if you want. Come on over. And then let us do what we do. We're working, we're doing what needs to be done. And I'm so hungry and I'm so excited to just see us continue to grow because I really have all the faith in the world in these girls.
There you go. You heard it here first from Haleigh, Washington. So, but we're going to go in chronological order here because I was really trying to like map out the questions for you in our interview. But next up for you is the USA Volleyball Cup, which is in a few days
Hmm.
according to our time of our interview, where number 8 Netherlands, actually world number 8 Netherlands, comes in 4-3 at the Long Beach States Walter Pyramid, July 10th, 12th, and 14th. This isn't a plug, but you can go to usavolleyball.org and get your tickets if you want. But
Heck
I
yeah,
know
heck yeah.
I don't want to say it's sold out yet, but I know that tickets are
They're going
becoming more
fast.
rare.
They are
Yes.
going fast. So if you
And
want tickets, get them now.
I mean, a lot of people want to see you ladies play stateside. And that's been my experience my entire time working with USA Volleyball and working domestic events. But what are your thoughts on that upcoming series?
I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming series. I think, like I said, the step by step, day by day, I think we're getting better and we're getting cleaner. And I'm just really excited to execute that. Like, there's only so much practice you can do against the other side without
Mhm.
ever getting to apply it in real time. So I think this USAV Cup is going to be such a cool time to apply the things and skills that we've been really trying to work on. And so I'm excited to see it in application. I love playing against the Netherlands. They're always such a fun team. I got a lot of good friends on that team, so it'll be great to see them. And it'll, again, yeah, just be good to put into practice the things that we are training and working at in a game-like situation.
Well, I know that Netherlands has been trending upward. Like they're finding their groove, especially in VNL. They're switching out some players. They're still just as good as like that original starting lineup. So obviously you've played with some, and against some of them. But it will be a very competitive 3-match series in Long Beach for
It
sure.
will be very competitive. I'm really excited. Can't wait to see them.
Like this is the final tune-up before the Olympics, and everyone's going to bring their big guns out for this one.
Absolutely, and that's what we're hoping. I hope they bring their big guns out. I hope they play 8 against us. Put 8 people on the court. Let's do it.
Well, let's talk about the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Yes.
Um, but what was it like for you to compete for a spot on the Olympic roster, and how was it different or similar to trying to make the 2020 roster?
Yeah. I think competing for a spot on the Paris roster was a billion times harder. Let me do the math. Yeah, a billion times harder than competing for the Tokyo Olympics. Just because again, my expectations were so low for Tokyo because I had originally set that goal for myself. So I was just working hard to just improve my game and improve who I was and just play good volleyball. And then the Tokyo Olympics happened to happen, and I was really blessed and really grateful for that. There's a lot more pressure when you set your sights on something and you're hungry for it and you want it
Mhm.
and you're burnt out mentally, so you don't really know how to keep fighting for it. So the Paris Olympics was just such a harder Olympics to try to work for and qualify for because there was that pressure that
Mhm.
I had set this goal for myself and I wanted to do it. But there was also this like nagging, almost like emergency ripcord that I could pull that was like, I already went to the Olympics. Who cares? Quit. And
Mhm.
like that is buzzing in the back of your mind. And so I had to really be grounded in what the hell, why am I doing this? Why the heck am I doing this? And that's where my dad comes in again. He was the one that was like, you set this goal for yourself. You set this goal for yourself. And even on the days where I was like, F this, I don't want to have this goal,
Mhm.
it was the motivator. And so there was definitely a higher pressure. There was definitely a lot more challenges and tribulations that I had to go through to get here, but it really made it so much sweeter once that goal had been achieved. So
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'm grateful for the challenge and the struggle for the past 2 3 years.
Your big papa sounds like a Jedi master or
Dude,
something. I
he
mean,
is the man. He is the man. And he just, yeah, he's just really good at keeping me grounded and reminding me why the heck I do what I do. And so
yep.
he's a motivator.
Well, I'm going to ask you more of a formal question, even though you've kind of responded in the previous question I asked
Yeah.
related to this. But you're on your second Olympic roster, and
Hmm.
competition has been intense. And if VNL is any indication of what we could see in the Olympics, it's going to be gnarly. But what are your thoughts on what could happen in Paris?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the world is looking good. It's the top 8 teams, this group of girls, this roster, it's crazy. The world is good at volleyball right now.
Mhm.
It's interesting because it's a new format. I totally forgot that at the Tokyo Olympics, the format was just 2 pools. It was
Mhm.
Pool A and Pool B of 6 teams. And so now it's a different format with 3 pools, Pool A, Pool B, Pool C of 4 teams. And so it's a very different approach to the game when you're really only playing 2-3 teams, when you're playing 3 teams.
Yeah.
So I think we can expect to see a lot of competitive matches. I think we can expect to see a lot of grit, a lot of grinding, especially in pool play. And then I think once it starts with that like playoff round,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be a cat fight out there because the world is so good. I think we might see some surprising upsets. I think we might see games that are going to 5 constantly. I think it's gonna be a battle. There are such good teams out there right now. Poland, Italy, Turkey, us. The DR is also great. Brazil's
Yeah.
great. China's playing great right now. I mean, they're
You
just
didn't drop
Japan,
Netherlands who you're playing.
Netherlands. Like I'm like the world is just so good right now. Like it's never, and I mean that's what the Olympics is supposed to be. It's never supposed to be, oh, we could take a game off. This one's going to be easy. Oh, it's
Mhm.
an easy path to get to the podium. Oh, it's never supposed to be like that. So I think we can anticipate a lot of challenges, which is great because that means there's a lot of opportunity to pick the lock, to find solutions, to solve problems very quickly, and figure out how to continue to get better.
Well, the volley IQ, the coaches, and them trying to get the players to execute, seeing the chess match that's going to occur is going to be mind blowing.
Dude, that's my favorite part of volleyball. I love hitting, I love blocking, but the chess match, the strategy, the where can we sacrifice? What if we sacrifice this here in order to be great here? How can we do this? Who's like storm can we weather? I love the chess
Yeah.
match of volleyball. I think it's the most beautiful part of the game.
You're like, you want a direct link to your VIS guy to look at those stats and trends.
Literally, I'm like, okay, show me the numbers because I'm also such a stat monster. I'm like, show me the numbers.
Recently the Olympic pools were released, and number 5 USA in Pool A facing off against number 6 China, Serbia, and the hostesses number 19 France. What are your thoughts on what action we could be seeing in pool play with that gathering of teams in your pool?
Yeah, like I said, world is good. It's going to be a very scrappy pool play. China is running an incredible offense right now. They are very fast. They are very good on their pins. They have a lot of height. They have a lot of power. And so I think we can expect to see a lot of problem solving on our end, especially by trying our best to get them into a medium pass situation. So I think the
Mhm.
China match, we're going to see a lot of physicality out of them. Serbia is also just a great team, really strong. They have a very powerful opposite. So this is the chess match where it's learning to
Mhm.
kind of like how can we weather the storm a little bit on her and figure out other ways that we can score and problem solve or even slow her down. So I think we can expect to see a lot of battles. This is not an easy pool. You look at some of the other pools and not to talk too much smack or anything, but you look at some of the other pools and it can be pretty easy to identify,
Yeah.
okay, these 2 teams are probably going to be the 2 teams that make it out. But I
Yeah.
think our pool is definitely more of a dogfight, so it could really go any which way.
Well, you have an X factor in France because they're the host country and they could easily be riding emotions. And that's always so unpredictable.
Absolutely, absolutely. And France has some really great players. Helena Kazut, she's a phenomenal outside hitter who runs with gnarly speed. They've got a great veteran middle who really just has a great game IQ. So I don't know. I think, like I said, it's going to be a dogfight getting in this pool play, but I'm excited for it.
Well, we are 3 weeks out from the opening ceremonies of the 2024 Paris Olympics. So hoping the best for Team USA, but I will see you before then. So we're not going to end right there because I need to talk about another venture, another part of your career that's come up pretty recently. And it was the announcement that you have signed with a LOVB Salt Lake City team.
Yes, sir. League One Volleyball. Super excited.
Now, after playing, is it 6 years in Italy? Why'd you choose to make this big change?
Yeah. I think it was first of all,
More?
7 years in
Oh,
Italy, which is nuts. It's crazy how much time flies by. And I think the big reason that I made this change is I don't think people realize how difficult overseas is. Don't get me wrong, I have
mhm.
loved my time in Italy,
No,
and I
we
have
hear it from
fallen.
all the USA
Oh, good. I'm
athletes.
glad that everybody says it. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Um, I've fallen in love with Italy. I think I'm one of the few people that actually like really genuinely has loved their time over there. The country's beautiful, the language is incredible, the people that I met, especially once I moved to Florence, like being in central southern Italy was
Mhm.
so amazing. The people, the community that I built there, it was just an incredible time and an incredible experience. But I think America has this really great opportunity because volleyball is such a big sport here. Like so many young girls play volleyball. It's insane that we don't have a pro league that people can kind of look up to. And so I was really excited when PVF kind of started up this year because it was great. They got a lot of traction, a lot of fans came out, and that was awesome. And then AU has been going for a little while, and they also have had a really good following. And now League One's kind of starting up. And my main reasoning for wanting to get that started was one, to leave a legacy behind. If I could be a part of kind of leaving something behind for future generations, for future kids to look up and be like, I want to play in this pro league, that would be great. Two, there are so many international athletes who want to play in America. I have loads of teammates who have been like, why doesn't America have a league? I want to go play in America. I want to see America. And so I think it's just a really cool way to bring international talent to the States and kind of show America how great the world is at volleyball and that there's more horizons out there for people. And then it's time to be close to home. I've been away from my family. Like I went to college far away from my parents. I started living abroad far away from my parents. And now it's time to be close to family. So
that's been a super cool experience for you and the fans.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to meet everybody. I'll be going to League One Salt Lake. I'm so stoked to be close to Colorado. I'm so stoked to be in Salt Lake. I've had lots of people from Salt Lake reach out to me, and I just can't wait to meet the people, to meet the fans, and just be back in the mountains, baby.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Now, how did the opportunity to play with League One come about for you?
Yeah, I was originally reached out to from them in 2019. When they had the idea of kind of starting this league up. So they reached out to a group of us kind of USA athletes, and they had started what they're calling this founding athletes group. And they just kind of started picking our brains about what it would look like to start a pro league. How would we want to do this? How would we want to organize it? What kind of teams do we want? And they started asking us questions. And so we would meet up and we'd chat, and the gears kind of started turning and the ball kind of started rolling, and it just kind of grew into this fully functioning company and this actual league. And it has been so cool kind of watching this idea sprout from this little seedling into this actual full-fledged league. So, and I don't know, I can't speak for the other founding athletes, but it has been such a cool experience just watching it grow, getting to know everybody, and see it kind of come to life.
Yeah. Well, so from perusing the League One Volleyball media and their site, not stalking, cyber stalking, just doing my research, but it looks like they've got a great team running the vision and the organization. Can you share a little bit about the behind the scenes people at League One?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are just so many tremendous people that are behind the scenes. I mean, like obviously you have Rosie Spalding. She's absolutely incredible. She's just been working with a lot of the logistics and has been keeping the founding athletes in the loop, and it's just been really aware of how we can improve, how we can get better. Caitlin Gao, she's a phenomenal woman who's, I think, our CEO. She's the CEO of League One, and she's just such an outstanding leader. She really just understands the vision of what League One wants to be when we talk about being grassroots and community oriented. Courtney Thompson jumped in and she started working a lot
with from somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she started working kind of as a direct line with a lot of the athletes, and she's just such a freaking rock star and such a people person. Like, it's been so incredible working with her. And there are countless other people that I can bring up that have just been a part of the community, countless club coaches that have given their time, countless people that have just helped pour into helping with marketing, helping with logistics, helping get things set up. Like, it has just been so cool seeing the community at League One.
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting to hear. Well, with that, it starts up November 2024, and this will be the first year not in Italy for the last 7 years.
7 seasons or so. It'll be my first time ever not back in Italy. I'm really looking forward to being stateside. It'll be really great not having to have a 32-hour travel day and then practice the following day. I'm really looking forward to that. It should be exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how the games work. I can't wait to compete against some of these athletes. It'll be great.
So the teams are going to be in Atlanta, Austin, Houston, Madison, Omaha, and your team in Salt Lake City.
Yes, sir.
So what are your thoughts on what League One is doing to bring together some of the top athletes, not only in the U.S., but from abroad?
They have absolutely blown it out of the water with bringing in athletes from abroad. I really thought it was going
to brought you in. Boom.
I mean,
end of story.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish I was that cool. No, but I mean, like, they brought in incredible international athletes. I really thought it was going to take, I mean, my vision was 3 to 5 years before we started getting some of these big international athletes to come in, just because, it's kind of a baby league and pro players get really skeptical about new because it can be hard, especially when you're in the Italian league or the Turkish league. It can be really hard to get back into those leagues when you leave them because, there are lots of athletes and teams will replace you very quickly. But they
Yeah.
managed to get like Rafa Foley, like she's coming to play in this league, and she's an
Wow.
outstanding middle and just an incredible athlete. They have like Jessica Rivero Marin, who's an outside hitter for who was an outside hitter for the Spanish national team, also a good
Mhm.
friend of mine. She's playing in Atlanta. Like just so many great foreign players that I didn't expect, and I'm just so shocked and excited to see how we can continue to bring people in. Like I've talked to Ebrar Karakurt, and she's like, Haleigh, Washi, I really want to play in USA. How can we make it happen? And I was like, Loopy, Evrod, we can make it happen. Don't worry. So I'm stoked.
That was preceded by you saying 10% for me, right?
Definitely. Well, we talked about that. We were actually, it's so funny. The founding athletes were like, so if we get our friends to come play, we get a little bit of money, right? And League One, like we negotiated something. It was really funny.
Too funny. But your USA women's national team teammates are a good portion of them are participating in League One, and that's already an intense group of athletes joining that league.
Definitely very competitive athletes joining the league. I mean, 9 of the 12 Olympians are going to League One next year. So that's like an incredible statistic. Like, I'm so excited. It just means that this league has a really good chance to be very competitive, which is what I think we want to see. Like, we don't want the world to look at this league and just kind of be like, America tried, but it's really not that competitive. Like
Mhm.
I think this has a really good chance of being like a legit, like, oh, I could go to America and continue to grow my career. So I think it's got a
Mhm.
really good chance.
Well, from what I can gather from the site and some of the people I've spoken to, it looks like there's a really good plan, and they do have the financials in place to sustain it for at least 5 years.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited about that. You can do a lot with the way that this community is so dedicated. I think you can do a lot in the next 5 years. So I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm also just so excited. This is very probably me coded, but I'm so excited to give back to club athletes. Like I can't
Mhm.
wait to connect with a lot of the club teams. That's one of my favorite parts about League One is that it's so grassroots, that it's very club team oriented as well. Like we were
Mhm.
discussing being able to just do reach outs, doing camps and clinics with a lot of the clubs. And like that gets me so excited. I love coaching. I love coaching kids. I love coaching camps. It's just so cool to me. And so I'm really looking forward to that kind of outreach.
Oh, sounds so exciting for you,
Yeah.
for sure. Now, I'm going to drop these one, maybe two questions on you. They're more of the reflective questions, but being where you're at now, what would you tell your 15-year-old self in regards to pursuing this career in volleyball?
What would I tell my 15-year-old self? I think for 15 years old, I would say keep it rocking. You're doing exactly the right things. You're grinding, you're working as hard as you can. Keep being goofy, keep being a light. I would absolutely tell 15-year-old me to keep being a light and keep being myself. It was really interesting in my career how many times people would be like, "Oh, Haleigh's so annoying. She's so loud. Oh, Haleigh's so obnoxious. It's so annoying." And that would really tear me down. It took me
Mhm.
until I was about 22, 23 to 23, 24 even, like a couple years into the national team gym for me to be like, you know, some people just aren't going to like me. And that's okay. As long as I'm not being mean or being rude to anyone, I'm just going to continue to be a light. So I wish I could go back in time and tell 15-year-old Haleigh, like, just keep being a light, be yourself. People aren't going to like you because you're loud and obnoxious, and that's really not your problem. Keep being
Yeah,
kind, keep loving on them, but you really don't need to change who you are for other people.
great advice. But I got to drop one more question on you.
Drop it on me.
All right. What is your encouragement for other female athletes who want to become D1 volleyball players and or play in Olympic teams and professionally?
Yeah. I think for starters, if you want to go D1, I think it's just time. Like, I know that that sounds like such a cop out answer, but it really goes both ways for D1 athletes or playing pro or going overseas or being in the USA gym. It just takes that dedication. like pouring yourself into it 100%. It's doing the extra reps, it's doing extra club practices, it's going to volleyball camps, it's just pouring yourself into the game while still taking care of yourself. Obviously, like, work hard, play hard, have fun, enjoy your life, be a kid. There's no need for you to be 13 years old learning how to hang clean so you can be good for college. Like, take it easy, but pour yourself into the game and just find the balance that works for you. For example, like, I didn't know anything about volleyball until I got to college. I didn't watch college volleyball. I didn't see
Wow.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I just thought it was a way that you got to school. I didn't know that it was like an actual like, I didn't watch NCAA volleyball until like my senior year when I went to the Under Armour All-American thing, and I was like, whoa, this is like a big deal. Like,
Who's this
I
Russ Rose guy?
literally I was a little more grounded than that. But so I think, like, pour yourself into it. There's no one way to do it, but just like dedicate yourself to it, be passionate about it. I will admit it does help to watch volleyball. So if you are on the younger side, I would recommend watching more volleyball than I did. And then, yeah, once you're given opportunities, just say yes. Be willing to be uncomfortable, be willing to be bad, be willing to fail, because you still have such an opportunity for growth from those moments. So I would just tell younger athletes, like, get uncomfortable, get coachable, fail again, fail about 3,000 more times, and then you'll be surprised where you can end up. I think that's the way to do it.
Those are truly golden nuggets of wisdom.
Dropping bars, Rob. What can I say?
Shoot, man, are you getting paid for this one?
I wish. I'll bill you. I'm kidding.
Well, obviously we've seen this very energetic, enthusiastic, fun-loving, extroverted side of Haleigh, and I wanted to tap into that to end this interview episode here. So we were going to do deep thoughts with Haleigh, but I found out apparently either her social media got hacked and she has no access to them anymore. So we came up with Haleigh's superlatives, and it's going to be in relation to her national team teammates, which I'm hoping doesn't burn bridges for them before the Olympics.
Nah, it'll be fine. They're tough. They already know I don't like them.
All right. Are you ready for the first one?
I'm so ready.
What USA women's national teammate is most likely to bail on friends for coffee?
Is most likely to bail on friends for coffee?
Yeah, like pick the coffee over you guys.
Ooh. I'm going to say either Jordan Larson or Lauren Carlini. They always have a Starbucks in their hand, so I would not be surprised if they were like, guys, I gotta go to Starbucks first. I gotta go. They'll make the time for it, but they're definitely on their way to Starbucks.
All right. So take note, Jordan, and of course, Lauren.
You aware. We're watching.
Teammate most likely to be from another planet.
Jordan Thompson. That girl, she's just so gangly, and she just does the weirdest things sometimes that I'm like, you're not from here. You're not from here, but it's okay, neither am I. So we bond really well. We get along really well.
I thought you would have dropped yourself first, but hey, more power to you.
Am I allowed to pick myself?
You can. Yes, please do.
Okay, good to know.
All right. Teammate most likely to immediately forget your Venmo handle if they owed you money.
To immediately forget my Justine Wongarantes. J-Wo. I'd be like, J-Wo, hey, can you Venmo me? And she'd be like, yeah, sure. Just kidding. Jay's the best. But she would definitely be the one to be like, whatever, it's fine. She'll pay me back another time.
How about teammate most likely to be an undercover Swiftie?
Undercover Swiftie. Morgan Hentz. I wouldn't be surprised if Mo's low-key, because first of all, Morgan Hentz is so funny. She is hilarious, one of the funniest girls on the team. She's also so smart and so academic and just sees the game so well. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, just to cut loose a little, she was listening to Taylor Swift.
All right, here we go. Teammate most likely to laugh at their own jokes.
Teammate Annie Drews. I think Annie Drews would 1,000%. I think she's the type of person that can't even get through her own joke because she's laughing so hard that she can't even tell the joke. She's just laughing so hard at her own joke.
And finally, teammate closest to being admitted to a mental asylum.
That one's me. There we go. That one's me. Probably me. Definitely. Actually, not even probably. 100%, it's me. Most likely to be admitted into a mental asylum. Right here. That's me.
That is why we ended with that question, because I knew it would be you.
You set me up. I knew it.
Well, hey, Haleigh, I love chatting with you whenever I can. I love seeing you in the States when you're here. Um, Thank you so much for taking the time to do this pre-Paris Olympics episode on Viral Volley Podcast and for volleyballmag.com. Um, I wanted to remind everyone, Haleigh will be in town 4/3 at Long Beach State. Visit usavolleyball.org for tickets as they face number 8 Netherlands. That's next week. I don't know when this is going to officially post, but keep in mind July 7th, 9th, and 10th. No, 14th. Oh, I better look at my
11th,
notes.
14th.
Off the top of my head, I better get it right. I want this to be on here correctly.
Yeah,
so
right.
Let me scroll back here. That is July 10th, 12th, and 14th.
10, 12, 14. I don't even know. I can't think that far ahead, man. I'm just trying to get through today.
And then, of course, this major world event coming up July 27th, the Paris Olympics, where you'll see Haleigh rocking the red, white, and blue. And after that, she'll be kicking it in SLC at Salt Lake City for League One Volleyball in November when the league starts off. But Haleigh, so wonderful, really, to chat with you. And I enjoy any kind of time that we can get, because my favorite picture with you is you biting the gold medal when you're playing Turkey in that exhibition 2 years ago.
That is a classic. Do love that one. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope the answers weren't too rambly. I do tend to talk a lot, so thank you so much.
Oh, it's a total pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Aspero at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.